Walk into almost any pharmacy in Sudan, and you're practically guaranteed to see a very familiar box on the shelf, a Diclofenac. It's an absolute staple, right? Our go-to remedy when we're sidelined by a nasty headache, a sprained ankle, or just a bad bout of joint pain. But have you ever stopped to wonder what actually happens after you swallow that little pill? How does a tiny, manufactured compound travel through your whole body and just turn off the sensation of pain?
Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly does a little pill stop your biggest pains? You know, we often completely take for granted the sheer biochemical brilliance of modern medicine. So today in this explainer, we're going to unpack the science behind a Diclofenac. We'll map its incredible journey from a simple molecular structure all the way to that precise moment it brings you relief.
Here's our roadmap for today's journey. First, we'll meet Diclofenac. Then we'll look at its origins as a synthetic NSAID before diving into how it blocks the pain pathway. After that, we'll examine the available dosages in Sudan. And finally, we'll cover the side effects and warnings.
All right, Section 1. Meet Diclofenac, Sudan's go-to pain reliever. This is actually the popular local Pharma brand name for the active scientific ingredient, which is called Diclofenac sodium.
So Diclofenac sodium is an NSAID. That stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. Basically, that means it delivers this really powerful three-pronged attack. It treats pain, it reduces fever, and crucially, it shuts down inflammation, all without relying on steroids.
Moving to Section 2, the synthetic NSA, engineered in a lab. Now, for literally millennia, humans have relied on plant-based remedies, right? Things like willow bark to ease their aches and pains. But Diclofenac? It is definitely not an herbal extract. It's a precisely engineered synthetic chemical. It was meticulously designed in a laboratory to hunt down very specific enzymes in your body. So this isn't your grandmother's soothing herbal tea, it's a highly targeted molecular weapon.
Section 3. Blocking the pain pathway, inside the chemical factory. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it introduces the chemical factory analogy to show exactly what's happening under your skin. To really understand how this works, I want you to visualize your body as a bustling, non-stop chemical factory. When you pull a muscle, your body's factory immediately kicks into gear and produces these compounds called prostaglandins. Think of these as the factory's alarm bells. They totally flood the injury site, causing redness and swelling, and they're effectively screaming at your brain, "Hey, we're injured down here. Fix it, it hurts."
But here's the thing. These prostaglandins, they don't just magically appear out of thin air. They are manufactured by microscopic factory workers inside your cells. We call these workers the COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes. These enzymes are the builders, and without them, those painful alarm bells just cannot be made.
So where exactly does Diclofenac fit into this whole equation? Let's walk through the action sequence. Step 1, an injury occurs in your body. Step 2, normally those COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes get to work synthesizing those painful prostaglandins to sound the alarm. And step 3, this is where Diclofenac crashes the factory floor. It acts as what we call a non-selective inhibitor. It literally binds to these COX enzymes, basically putting a giant padlock on the factory workers' tools. By shutting down the workers, it completely stops the production of prostaglandins. The alarms are silenced, the inflammation drops, and most importantly for you, the pain just fades away.
Section 4. Available dosages in Sudan, from pharmacies to patients. Let's move to and see how this builds out in the real world.
To see exactly how this molecular weapon is delivered to the people who need it, we're looking at the World Health Organization's Essential Medicines list for Sudan. This is basically the official blueprint of the absolute most crucial, safe, and effective medications required to meet the primary healthcare needs of the population. And Diclofenac sodium is heavily featured right here, which is a massive testament to its immense medical value. We can see that this single synthetic chemical is engineered into entirely different clinical delivery systems for all kinds of situations. For severe acute hospital pain, there's a really fast-acting 75 milligram injection. For your everyday aches and pains, you've got standard 25 and 50 milligram tablets. Dealing with chronic all-day joint pain, there are 100 milligram sustained release, or SR tablets. And for super localized pain, like a sore knee, there's even a 1% topical gel that you just rub directly onto your skin. It completely covers all the bases.
Which brings us to Section 5, Side Effects and Warnings, the cost of relief.
Now, we've seen the absolute brilliance of Diclofenac, but I have to be honest with you, this relief comes with a physical toll.
Clinical data carries some very clear warnings. Frequent or high-dose use brings a real, documented risk of gastric irritation, heartburn, and even severe gastrointestinal ulcers. But that kind of makes you wonder, why on earth would a painkiller hurt your stomach?
So the crucial point is this catch right here. Remember those COX-1 factory workers we were just talking about? The ones Diclofenac shuts down to stop the pain alarms? Well, it turns out COX-1 enzymes actually have a day job. They constantly produce a protective layer of mucus that coats your stomach lining. This mucus is absolutely critical because it defends your stomach against your body's own harsh digestive acids.
This is the ultimate biological trade-off. On one side, you get this incredible pain relief because the drug blocks those COX enzymes. But on the other side, you face gastric irritation. Because diclofenac is a non-selective inhibitor, it doesn't just stop the pain. It forcefully shuts down those protective COX-1 enzymes too, which leaves your delicate stomach tissue completely vulnerable.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for this explainer. Given this totally unavoidable biological reality, is the immediate relief worth the potential risks to your stomach? The science of Diclofenac is, without a doubt, an absolute triumph of synthetic chemistry, but it does require us to constantly weigh the profound benefits of pain relief against some very real bodily consequences. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep seeking to understand the brilliant science behind everyday life.